Our cities have become hostile to people, and the culprit is an obsession that was sold as a dream: the automobile. This is just one of the major design disasters that have shaped the chaos you feel every day. And today, we're going to decode the 8 mistakes that turned our cities into less human places. First mistake: the obsession with the automobile made us forget how to build a community. The big idea behind post-war car culture was suburban freedom, the so-called American dream. The problem is that this dream, exported worldwide, demanded a sacrifice: the city itself. The iconic example is the era of Robert Moses in New York. His expressways were true concrete scars that tore through vibrant neighborhoods like the Bronx, prioritizing the flow of vehicles over the lives of people. The human impact of this is what we call a strode, a design disaster, an inefficient hybrid between a street and a road, which is dangerous for everyone and serves no one well. Even worse, it debunks a myth. The idea that building more lanes alleviates traffic is a fallacy. It's called induced demand. More lanes just attract more cars, a vicious cycle of congestion. Second mistake: the utopia of the tower in the park turned out to be a recipe for loneliness. Le Corbusier's big idea was to create the future: super-rational cities with tall buildings floating in vast green spaces, a supposed solution to the unhealthiness of old cities. The execution, however, was a nightmare. The catastrophic example was the Pruitt-Igoe housing project in St. Louis. Promoted as a promise of decent housing, it became a symbol of social decay, vandalism, and fear, and was demolished in less than 20 years. The human impact is the creation of no man's lands. The radical separation between the tower and the street eliminates life, creating empty, unwatched areas that become hotspots for insecurity. The solution already existed and was championed by Jane Jacobs: the street as the heart of the community, with ground floor commerce and eyes on the street ensuring everyone's safety. Third mistake: by separating where we live, work, and play, we created soulless non-places. The big idea of single-use zoning seemed logical: separate polluting industries from residences. But this tool was applied so rigidly that it sterilized our cities. The clearest example is the American residential suburbs, oceans of monotony where every small task requires a car. Or the business districts that after 6 p.m. turn into deserts of concrete and glass, completely lifeless. The human consequence is a life spent in traffic. This segregation forces long daily commutes, stealing the time we could be spending with our family and community. The antidote to this poison is the 15-minute city, a concept where all your daily needs are just a short, pleasant walk away. Fourth mistake: urban renewal was a euphemism for the destruction of communities. The big idea, born from a hygienist mindset, was the clearing of old, dense areas, considered sick and obsolete. It was believed that total demolition and building something modern was the only way forward. A painful example was the destruction of the West End neighborhood in Boston. A close-knit, working-class community was completely removed to make way for luxury buildings, displacing thousands of families and erasing their history. The human impact today has a familiar name: gentrification. It's the same process, where the improvement of a neighborhood raises costs so much that it pushes out the original residents. The secret that planners ignored is that these blighted areas possessed immense social capital, support networks, and a vibrant economy that were destroyed in the name of a false progress. Fifth mistake: the seduction of white elephants left a legacy of debt and abandonment. The big idea is that mega events like the Olympics and World Cups are a shortcut to global city status. The competition to build the most impressive icon architecture speaks louder than reason. The examples are the abandoned arenas and Olympic villages in cities like Athens and Rio de Janeiro. They are monuments to wasted public money, true modern ruins that serve no one. The human impact is brutal: communities forcibly removed, militarization of public space, and the diversion of billions that should have gone to health, education, and sanitation. The solution exists: the Barcelona model, which used the '92 Olympics to restructure the city for the long term, opening it to the sea and leaving a legacy that benefits its citizens to this day. Sixth mistake:
Ignoring a city's geography is a war against nature that we always lose. The big idea of modernist engineering was that nature was an obstacle to be conquered. Rivers were channeled and buried under asphalt, and hilly terrains were brutally flattened. The iconic example of this arrogance was the channeling of the Cheonggyecheon River in Seoul, which spent decades suffocated beneath an expressway. The city itself had to spend millions to correct the mistake and bring the river back to life. The human impact of this thinking is catastrophic. By waterproofing the soil, we eliminate the city's ability to breathe and absorb water. The solution is to work with nature, not against it, using green roofs, linear parks, and permeable pavements that let the water in. Seventh mistake. Fear turned into walls, created islands of wealth and oceans of inequality. The big idea behind gated communities was simple: create a safe sanctuary in response to the perception of rising crime. The result, however, was the fragmentation of the social fabric. Cities like São Paulo and Mexico City are examples of how these physical barriers segregate the urban grid. The human impact is a paradox. By privatizing security, these enclaves erode community life and make the outside of the walls even more deserted and unsafe. The myth that walls bring security needs to be debunked. True safety doesn't come from isolation, but from vitality, social interaction, and a collective sense that the street belongs to everyone. Eighth mistake. The fundamental mistake that connects all the others is planning for people instead of with people. The big idea was that a small group of experts in a closed room could design the perfect city from the top down. The ultimate example of this approach is Brasilia, a brilliant plan on paper, but its monumental scale and rigid sectorization created a city where street life is almost non-existent and car dependency is absolute. The human consequence is a deep feeling that the city wasn't made for me. Lack of participation generates projects that don't meet the real needs of the community. The solution is the opposite: participatory planning and tactical urbanism, which tests small-scale solutions with the community, creating changes that people actually want and love. Which of these mistakes best describes your city? I want to know your opinion in the comments. It's your suggestions that define the next videos on this channel. And if you want to keep decoding the world around you, subscribe so you don't miss the next video.